What up, what up, what up? It's your man Furious and Hugo Remo, the Black Spiderman here, Conscious Cafe, where we talk about everything under the sun. Hugo, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing fantastic, man. What's up, Furious?
Nothing, man. Doing, making it do what it do. So the other two, Terrence and Jay, won't be with us. I know Jay Legend, he's out there doing his shows and whatnot, and Terrence is pop locking, doing his dance thing, choreography thing. So it's just me and you today, man. And before the show, man, we were just talking about relationships. I got my peeps out there. A lot of people are going through it, with these relationships. And one of the things, man, social media be getting people in trouble, you know what I'm saying? So I guess that's what we're going to touch upon today is just relationships. So what you got for us, Hugo?
As far as relationships, man, I'm currently single, man. I'm loving it, man. I mean, I could talk about let's let's talk about my past relationship. All right, so I was with this girl for about 4.5 years and stuff. People, whenever you first meet somebody, it's always like, oh my God, man, they're so hot, they're so badass. You see all the good stuff, man. Everybody's always putting in the good foot and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's how it started off for me. I was just like, man, this girl's so sexy. She's cool as hell, And man, within like 4 or 5 months of her true self started coming out,
Wow.
Like I don't know if you can relate, man, but the true self started coming out, and man, it was just like, dude, on like Facebook, man. I don't know. Okay, let me ask you this question. If I'm in a relationship with you, if you're in a relationship with some girl, right, somebody, right?
Yeah.
And anybody you take a picture with that's like a male, and they're all good looking guy and stuff like that. They got their shirts off and stuff like that. If your girl was going through sending them friends requests and adding them, trying to add them and all of that stuff, what would you think about that?
Unless she met him and they have some type of connection. Nah, man, that's a little shady, dog. I don't know how I would feel about that, man. That's that's a little crazy, man. That's suspect.
Yeah, I mean that was when the problem started arising, because I was just like, what? Why you going through? I asked her, that was one of our first arguments and stuff. I was just like, dude, why you going through adding all my everybody you see me take a picture with as a guy? Like you're not even adding the girls, you're just adding the guys, man, that look good. She was like, oh, you don't want me to know your friends and this and that.
Yo.
I mean, that's crazy. I was just like, what? I mean, what do you, it's not that I don't want you to get to know my friends, but you don't even know these people, man. You never even met them, never had a conversation with them, nothing. And,
that's
you're
crazy,
adding
man.
on Facebook, man. Social media is a crap, but, so that happened. We got into it. She was crying. So I was like, all right, you want to do that? That's cool. I'm going to do exactly what you just did. So I started adding all her friends, all her sexy, hot friends, I went down the list. I went through her, started adding.
You went down the list. You like, yo, I'm adding friends.
Yeah, she wanted to play that, man, but guess what? All right, so she found out, she confronted me. She was just like, hey, I noticed you added so-and-so, she told me, she was just like, is it okay if I, accept his friend's request and this and that? I was like, first of all, why does it matter? I thought it didn't matter. I thought it wasn't, you don't want me to get to know your friends?
Yeah.
And, man, you know what she did? She started going through and telling all her friends to block me, for one, and not to accept my friend's request.
Wow.
She was just like, well, you're just doing it just to like be mean and this and that, like da-da-da-da-da. I was just doing it to try to get to know you and this and that.
Man, it's funny, man, because social media, I first say I'd like to give a shout out to my girl, Carrie. I'm spoken for, but I noticed with social media, it's a beast, man. And one thing that I had a issue with, with social media is, we're me, you, and shout out to Legend. He's actually on the phone on the show right now
Peace.
too. Is
Peace.
we're public figures. We do more. We're out there. We put our stuff out there. Myself, we put our music out there, and I noticed I had to keep my private life very private. And I noticed, like, especially with when you're in the spotlight and you can attest to this, and I'm pretty sure Legend, you could attest to this. Is the opposite sex, man? When you're in a relationship, they can get kind of ruthless and say certain things on social media, man. When you post pictures and stuff like that. I had one time when I broke up. I was in a relationship. I broke up. Man, the many likes that I got from females, I was like, y'all a cold piece of work. You know what I'm saying? Y'all stand in the back. So you got to be very cognizant of what's going on. Oh, and I have another one that's funny as hell. I actually went out on a date, and during my date, we're eating at a restaurant, and the female that I'm dating at the time, well, we went on one date after this. She's like, oh, the lighting's right. Let me post this on Instagram. Oh, I got to get the food at this angle. And I'm like, yo, are we dating, or is this like an Instagram live feed right now? You know what I'm saying?
That's funny.
So, Legend, we over here, we talking about relationships. So.
Oh yeah, man. I have my fair share of stories, man. That social media is something else, man. It's a whole another beast in itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But Hugo was saying that he was dating somebody. Well, his last previous relationship, she added all his guy friends with the shirts off and stuff like that. We were talking about, was that a red flag moment or?
I dare say that's a red flag moment, huh?
Yeah.
Well, what would you think, Legend, man? I mean, if you were dating somebody, right, and she goes to your friends list and starts adding all your boys, man, your homeboys, not your girlfriends, man, but your boys, and the ones that look good. You know what I'm saying? All chiseled out and stuff, man. What would you think, man?
I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. I sure would want to know. I'd be like, yo, what's going on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I would, but, that social media, it causes so much conflict. You know what I mean? It really does. It's crazy because it's just like, there's no, the emotions and the facial expressions and the body language you have when you communicate face to face. There's none of that in social media, so a lot of things can be taken out of context. You know what I mean?
Yep. You got any crazy stories like that and stuff as far as with a past relationship?
Man, I know. When I was with my son's mother, I mean, I really just had to chill out on Facebook because it was just like, I could have no friends. I couldn't associate with nobody of the opposite sex, or it was like I was doing something. I was cheating and stuff like that. So, I mean. It's a tough thing. I think just keeping in a relationship, it's just a tough thing to try to keep the opposite sex. And then, social media kind of makes it to the 10th power too, though. You know what I mean?
Oh,
yeah. You see so much drama and so much sensationalism on social media, I think,
And people love drama on social media, man.
They love
I
it.
tell people,
They love it,
like you, you're also a parent. And with me, I definitely don't. My daughter's 12. I definitely don't. If I'm going through it, especially with her mom, if we having disagreements or whatever, one thing I don't do is I don't feed into it. Don't post anything on social media. And then I have actually I got to kind of put somebody on blast. I have a friend that she's single, and she's single for a reason, because she'll put when the date is good, and then she'll blast men when it don't go right. And then I had to tell her, I'm like, yo, the reason why you single is, like, if a man pays attention to your social media profile, you put it all out there. And I mean, she is it's pretty bad how she dogs men on social media. And it's just like, man, this is like, don't put your friends out there. I mean, I'm like Michael Jackson in Thriller. I got my popcorn. I'm reading this like, yo, this is entertaining. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I learned, man, is like, I mean, certain things, man, you got to keep to yourself, man, especially when the relationship's not going right. And there was somebody said something like, yo, for a potential mate, if that person's willing to put her ex on blast on social media, you believe me, you next when it don't go her way. So.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. That's one of the biggest things, man. I try not to do. Like, even if I used to do this, back in the day with MySpace and stuff. When I did get in a relationship, once you change that status in a relationship, then it's supposed to be it's all serious now and stuff, right? Man, every time I change my status and stuff, man, it'd be like, who is it? Who is it, man? I get thousands, like hundreds, like, man, who's the girl? Who's the girl? Like, what? Is this April Fool's? What is this?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like, but you know what? The only thing I don't like social media is just like, it's like it invites people into your life, like unwarranted. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
you be having a conversation with somebody and then you get in an argument with somebody like on some side stuff, and you weren't even talking to them. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Exactly.
Yeah. And I love it, especially with politically, man. I noticed with some people I had to unfriend, man. You say something about a certain somebody, they coming out the woodwork. Oh, it's fake this and da da da, and you should be smarter than that and blah 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 blah. And I know you. I wonder if you guys experienced that on social media. You with somebody and then somebody messaged them on a sneak tip. You know what I'm saying? Like Hugo, you said your girl was doing. It could be another female trying to message your girl on the sneak tip on some jealous stuff. Trying to paint another picture of you. And it's just like, wow.
Dude, I get that all the time, man. I get that all the time. Check this out. Okay. So it's gotten to the point where now, like, if I meet a girl, I try not to tell her I'm the Black Spiderman or any of that, stuff, because I don't want her looking me up on Facebook, YouTube. I try to keep it on as long as possible, because what happens is, and I found this up from experience, I'll meet a girl, everything's going good, she give me her number, she's down to go out, hang out, and like within a day, like something's up. It's like, hey, she goes, oh, I didn't know you knew so-and-so. Like, huh? So-and-so? Who's so-and-so? It's like, oh, nothing. And then it's like, well, I'm kind of busy now, I'm like, what? Hold on, but you were all down before. You gave me your number. You said you were down on this to hang out and everything like that. But then you're asking me about so-and-so. Now you're not interested. Okay, all right, that's cool. And it's like, there's people, man, they think they know you just because of, the stuff they see or you post or whatever, or other people. Now that you're on, you put yourself out there, now people, they think they know you. But they don't know anything about you. But they give you,
But you
go through and just talk to people about, just BS, man.
The thing of social media, man, you kind of, and actually me and my girlfriend was talking about this. There's a lot of people on social media. You control the narrative, right? And there's actually a series on Netflix called Black Mirrors, and they got this one.
That's sick. I seen that.
You seen the one with the one where you get points, like your worth is by the points, and it paints a perfect picture of how social media is. People can paint a picture that they want. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, this is perfect. This is that, and the third. But I got a wild story for you guys, man. This is like I want to say this is like 11 years ago, man. And it's one of the websites that I used to be on when I was dating was I call it Plenty of Crazies, Plenty of Fish.
Yeah, PLM was crazy.
So actually, and this is when I lived up in Maryland and DC. So I can't remember her name, but I met her on Plenty of Fish, and our first date. We kind of conversated for a bit on the site, and then one day she was like, "Yeah, let's go hang out or whatever." And then she's like, "This is my address," and she lived in D.C. And at the time, I had a roommate, and I'm like, I told my roommate, I was like, "Look, if I don't come back, man, this is the address that I'm at, just in case," because she like openly invited me to her house, and I'm like, "This is kind of weird, man." I don't know if you guys heard about this one guy that was like getting people caught up on Craigslist. He would invite them to this address, and these guys thinking they're going to see a girl. My man wore a hockey mask, and I think he actually killed somebody. The other person got away. But anyways, so I go pick her up, and once I go pick her up, I was like, I told my roommate where you live at just in case, because out the blue, you just gave me your address, and I'm like, that's really not, a cool thing to do from the jump. With this whole internet thing. And she was like, nah. She's like, I ran 2 background checks on you. You good? I was like, I
Oh,
was like, word.
oh,
She even showed me the report. I was like, all right. But long story short, man, come to find out, she was a social worker, and she was like a functioning alcoholic, man. When I come pick her up, she all cool or whatever, and as the date progresses, she have a drink here and there. And then by the end of the date, she over here saying Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. I'm just like, man. So,
Funny.
I mean, you got to be cautious these days, man. I have one more. So there was another time, another first date. It ended after the first date. This one was wild, man. I thought I was being punked. I swear to God. So this lady, she was from Spain, but she lived and grew up in England. So she had green eyes, that British accent. So I come pick her up and we hang out. And at some point, man, I had my little what's that called? A GPS machine. At some point, she went into my GPS machine and got my address. So we go to after we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. I mean, we went somewhere and then we went to Buffalo Wild Wings. And all these guys started hitting on her, man. And I'm like, everybody in this, everybody here. And it just sounded like in my head, every other video and every other where we go. I'm like, nah, this ain't the business. So then I was like, yo, if you want to stay at Buffalo Wild Wings, hang out with your friends, cool. But I'm going to my house. I'm going to call it a night. So I go to my house, man. And then next thing you know, she called me. And she crying, and she's like, yo, my sister passed away or something. Somebody passed away. And she's like, the only person I want to be with tonight is you. And I'm like, yo, we just went on the first date. I'm sorry X, Y, and Z died, but nah, we good. And she's like, I'm going to be at your house in 15 minutes. I'm like, yo, what? First of all, you don't even know where I live. No, I went to your GPS. I got your address. My homeboy dropping me off. So then
What?
The same roommate, I knock on my roommate's door. I'm like, yo, she coming over. Just listen, just in case something go down, because this don't sound right. Yo, so she came in my house. She stayed for a couple hours, man. I ended up taking her back home, man. I ended up like, yo, I'm going to drive you all the way back home because you crazy. So while she was with me in the house, she went from sad to crying to wanting to get down. And I'm like, yo, where's the cameras? Where's Ashton Kutcher at right now? Am I getting punked? And because I was like, my spidey senses was like, yo, this don't feel right. Yo, at one point I was like, yo, she's like, yo, I'm bad. I got green eyes. I'm Italian and European and you don't want this. I'm like, yo, something telling me not to indulge. She's like, what are you, gay? Blah, blah, blah. Nah, something telling me not to indulge because you're already crazy. So, yeah, that's my take on those. I think those two are the wildest dating adventures I had on Plenty of Fish, but it never went to social media with them, man, because I could only imagine what those two social media look and how dating look for them.
That sounds like some crazy stuff.
Man, that's insane, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess another thing we talk about dating and social media. I also got some friends. They like social media dating forensics. You ever had that? I'm pretty sure you had this. Like, okay, so at 7:01 you was conversating with this person, and then at 7:03 you said you was here.
I had an ex like that, man. She was big into she would check that. Like that's why I never. I had to stop putting exactly where I'd be at and stuff. Like me, everybody knows. Like usually on Saturdays, I would go to Shamrocks to watch the fights and stuff. But back in the day, I would always post. Yeah, I'm in Shamrocks. Tagging it and stuff. But my ex, I told her one time. This is at the time. We kind of broke up or whatever. But you you still smash and stuff. You still broken. You're broken up, but you still.
Yeah.
Still doing your stuff. But I told her I was going out of town for the weekend. And you tell them you're doing something, but and I totally forgot, man, that I told her that. So I was supposed to be in Austin and stuff. But so I told her I was going to Austin for some convention. You know, I was doing occupational therapy at the time and stuff. So I was going for a conference and stuff. And man, it was UFC fight night, man. Saturday night. And so I always go to Shamrocks and stuff, and you know, meet up some of my friends there too. So I tagged myself at Shamrocks. Man, and it's like it didn't dawn on me that I just lied to her, told her about this stuff. So when I get to Shamrocks and stuff, you know, I was kicking it, having a good time, drinking, watching the fights and stuff like that. Guess who shows up?
Oh,
shoulder, man.
Oh, wow.
Like, man, she's going, I thought you were supposed to be in Austin, huh? She started making a big scene, man. I was just like, man. I was like, yeah,
you got caught.
Oh, man.
I was like, they got canceled, man. They got canceled. She goes, yeah, your conference got canceled and you couldn't, yeah, right. You making it up. And she was just like, she tried to fight me right there at Shamrocks and stuff. And she's she's a tall girl, you know.
Oh, man.
And it was it was a bad scene. So I had to leave and stuff. I couldn't stay there and watch the fights because she kept trying to fight me. And man,
That's crazy.
Man, that's crazy.
Yo, that social media is a beast. I had one friend. She was doing her Facebook forensics, and she called me about one of my homeboys, and she's like, my boy went to Kansas City, Missouri, and I guess he told a little white lie. So he took a picture and tagged himself. He's like, yeah, I'm, driving around the city, and me and his him and this girl always been mutual friends. And she's like, Mark, yeah, something ain't right. She's like, look at this picture. What do you see in this picture? And I'm like, I see a picture of he's in a car. He's sitting in a car, and he's driving around, Kansas City, Missouri. And she's like, nah. Check out where the picture's taken from. He in the passenger seat. Somebody driving. I'm like,
oh man.
I was like, dang, you over here? She's like, yeah. He said he got a rental car, but why would somebody else be driving a rental car? And sure enough, man, he went out there to mess around, and it was just like, man.
Oh
so,
man.
And it's funny, man. I think personally, the best advice that I got from one of my friends, man, she would date. And she say she wouldn't put her relationship status on there unless they got married. And I'm like, man, that's one of them things you kind of putting pressure on somebody. And she's like, nah, I don't want to put my, relationship status out there unless, it's serious. And we all seen those people that, 1 week it's like, oh yeah, he's the greatest thing and blah, blah, blah. And then the next week it's like, oh, they dog it out, man.
You can see that whole relationship play out.
Yeah, man.
Crazy, yeah.
Like
one
I said,
day
I'm like,
be engaged, one day you be single, one day you be separated. It'd be a mess.
Yeah, it's like I'm like Michael Jackson in the movie theater with the popcorn, just like we already know, and it's just like And I also have a 12-year-old daughter, man. And I told her, man, like with social media, that responsibility is like the responsibility of driving a car, because we got grown adults that are reckless with their social media, and especially when it comes to relationships. It's like, me personally, I'm very private about my private life, and certain things are sacred. Every now and then, me and my girlfriend will post something together when we go on a trip or we do X, Y, and Z. But I know how that game go, man, especially with certain people love to see you unhappy and whatnot, and we're very protective of our private life. And there's been about like one incident when there was somebody trying to intrude or try to cause a ruckus, man, and we definitely shut that down.
Yeah, it's like there's no privacy nowadays, and nothing you do, man. It's like everything is broadcasted. It's insane.
Yeah. And I think it's funny, like, every now and then I'll post stuff, especially, with being an artist and then being with, being being the Black Spiderman. We got to promote our brand and also promote. I noticed that all three of us promote something positive and inspiring every day. But I don't got to know what you eat every day or got it. Like some people, it's just like ridiculous. And then people in our age bracket, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah, I don't never understand how people like. I understand when famous people do it because obviously they have, they have an audience. You know what I mean? But when regular people do it, I just don't understand that. I'm just like, who cares what you have for lunch or what you're doing at work? But I guess somebody interested in it, so I guess it's not for me to judge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. But it's like we talk about relationship, man. Certain things people post in their relationship. I'm like, yo, man, why don't y'all just talk that out, man? We don't all need to see that, man.
Now, one of my biggest things is like, when you see a girl or guy, whatever, they're going through their stuff and they're posting it on social media and stuff, and they go through. You ever had the ones they'll block you, right?
Yeah.
Then they come back and then they unblock you. I'm like, man, didn't you? Hold on. First of all, I didn't even know you blocked me. Now you like, I'm back. I unblocked you. I'm like, you unblocked me?
So what?
When'd you block me, man? I didn't even. This girl that I went out with this girl one time. All right, it was a long time. This is an old story. Back in the day, went out with her one time. And we messed around, whatever. And she wanted a little bit more, whatever. She thought it was going to be something more than what it was, and I was just like, no. I was feeling someone else,
Yeah.
And she goes on and blocks me. I did not know she blocked me. So like a week goes by, whatever. I didn't call her, text her or nothing like that. I didn't even think about her. I was busy doing other stuff. And then she just texted me out of the blue. She was just like 2 weeks later or whatever. She was just like, hey, I just unblocked you, just letting you know, so if you want to do something, we can. And I was like, what? You blocked me? When'd you block me? First of all, who is this? I deleted her number, man. I didn't even know. I was like, who is this?
Man. You know what? This is one thing I always say about social media. It's like the biggest thing I hate about it is just like, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but it just makes it makes people overvalue themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like, calm down, sit down somewhere. Like everybody has value, but don't overvalue yourself. Don't do that, because that's just it's just in poor taste. It's just like, I'm not checking for you like that. Let's be honest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I don't
But it's
get?
like, it's a fine line. It's a fine line, though. You know what I'm saying? In those type of situations. But I feel like, people's opinions and this and that. It's just like, I understand everybody has an opinion, but it's just like a lot of people just try to force it on you and make it like it's fact. And you be like, yo, I just don't agree with that. And I'm not going against what you're saying. I'm just giving my opinion and how I feel. I don't even want to argue with you. You know what I mean?
Yep. And it's man, especially when it gets political and religious, man. And one thing, like, I had to sit and think deep on this, man. And you go, I guess we can transition into that fight that you got into after this, and then just because I guess this week has been a huge week for me about just people that have mental issues. But the one thing that I can say, especially in these times that we're going through right now with social media, because people remember back in the day we used to say them internet gangsters. There's a gang of internet gangsters now, and there's a gang of internet racists. And one thing that I had to kind of throttle back on, like, I used to see some stuff and get really upset and react, and I'm like, you know what, man, especially in these days and times, the one good thing is that it exposes people for who they are, you know what I mean, and what they think. And now I can disassociate myself. One of the posts that I saw, man, we all know about that woman in Deep Ellum that got beat up. I mean, this dude beat her up like she was a man, and somebody that I considered to be a friend, and they always would kind of make up excuses about racist things. And then one thing they said was like, she shouldn't have got out the car. And that really burned me up, man. And I was really like going to put this person on blast. Like, really? So you call yourself, a Christian and whoop-de-whoop-whoop, and you always posting X, Y, and Z. And I was like, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to say anything. But in my mind, the one thing that this social media and these days and age of, Make America Great, I can now see who's who and what's what, and disassociate myself accordingly. And that's what I did. But you guys are right, man. People overvalue themselves. You can't have a decent, you got to tread lightly with certain people when it comes to religious and racial issues, because then people want to gang up on you, and it's just like, wow. Social media has killed our social interaction with people on a social level and human level, in my opinion.
And also, too, it's like sometimes when you comment on things, you're speaking from personal experiences. And it's just like people try to knock that down. And I'm like, dude, I don't care what you say. I know what I've experienced. And that's exactly what I'm speaking on. I'm not speaking on any theoretical type situations. I'm talking about what happened to me, because one time I had commented on, how Nas and Khalees were in a custody battle. And Khalees was trying to say that, Nas assaulted her. But if you read the article very precisely, it says that she hit him as well. And and I know how custody battles are, and I know how things are with children, because I'm a single parent, and I've had issues with my son's mother, so I know how things are. And I know women will say anything, because I've had some unbelievable things said about me. You know what I'm saying? By my son's mother. So I know how women will do. And I was commenting on that, and then a whole bunch of people jumped on me saying I was a supporter of a woman beater, and I support rape. And I was like, yo, y'all obviously don't know who I am. Legend has never, ever supported hitting on a woman, because I have a mother and I have a sister, and I was raised by them, and I value them very highly. And I never, ever I would never support rape. And it was just like, it was an attack on me. And I was just like, and I didn't even comment no more, because I was like, it's getting out of hand when I just try to make a comment about my own personal experiences. Because I know when you're in a custody battle for kids, people will say stuff to gain an advantage, and there may be no truth to it. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been involved in those type of situations, that are similar. And I was just speaking from personal experience, and people just jumped on me. And it's sad though, everybody. It's like a lot of people don't think for themselves. That's what I see on social media. A lot of people are not individual thinkers. There's a lot of group thinkers.
Oh no, and I'm in the situation you are, man. I'm a single father, and we going. That's why I like anything that has to do with my daughter and her mom. You will never know on Facebook. I keep that private, because I know that firestorm, man. I've had put it like this, man. I had a friend. He had a picture with himself with a bottle. Like he went overseas. He went to Switzerland, got him a wine, and the story got flipped when he went to court that he's an alcoholic. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. And it's like this, man. Me and my daughter's mother are in the business of Olivia Nias. We don't have to be friends on Facebook. You know what I mean? When it comes to our relationship, it's our daughter's relationship. And then I've seen situations where people got divorced and mutual friends were on Facebook just feeding the fire, man. So, Legend, I feel you on that, man. That's why when it comes to that side of my life, it'll never be out there on social media like that.
I'm very private.
Yeah, I've seen those traps.
But one thing too, though, that I want to say is that social media teaches you the power of images, man. An image, can be made into anything you want it to be. Like, I can see a picture of you with a girl, and then we can make up a whole story about it. You know what I mean? And none of it is even true, but we can make up a whole story from just one image. And I mean, images are powerful things, you know what I'm saying? And how they're used and how they're dispensed and how they're cared for. A lot of times you gotta be careful of those things, you know what I'm saying? Especially, like you said, when you're in a relationship or even when you're doing business with people, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's funny too, man. Let's think about, for example, with Michael Jackson. I was like, yo, in my mind now, it doesn't matter about the courts. The court of public opinion is more powerful and more damning than the what the courts say. And when you said about images,
that was so sad to me, man, because I was like, let this man rest in peace, because it's just like, he was cleared by a full FBI investigation. and then all of a sudden a documentary comes along when he's dead and just totally condemns this dude. I don't know. I just don't know how I feel about that, man. Because I'm 40 years old. I grew up, man. Michael Jackson was everything to me when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
if people try to tell me he was molesting kids, I'd be like, man, are you crazy, man? I ain't wearing none of that. You know what I'm saying? So I just don't know. But at the same time, it's just like, I ain't know him personally. So, you know what I mean? And people that have money, they do all kind of strange stuff. So I don't know. I just don't think he ever did anything. But, you know, that's the power of media.
Yep, in the court of public opinion, man, you could. It's easy to distort and change the narrative, man. Like, what was that thing with the Indian guy, and Washington D.C. and those kids were yelling at him, and then they had a film from his perspective and a film from the kid's perspective, and it just two different narratives, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that one. It looks like the kid was just being like a little snob or whatever and stuff like that. The other part just seemed like, I mean, he's just being a kid. You know how kids, man, they try not to laugh, but he's just standing there, you know, but he just had that smirk on his face. So, I mean, you could see all different sides to it, man, but that picture, you're just like, man, a little smug, little punk, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how you was looking at it. But, I mean, I think media and images shaped by media, I think they're more powerful than anything that exists in society, because I can tell a story about somebody or a race of people or a group of people, and I can tell that story. It can either be negative or positive, and I can make you think about that person in a certain light, and those images and those messages stick with you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I read a long time ago, and somebody told me this, like, he who controls the media controls everything, man. It controls the way you think, the way you perceive things. And it's sad the way you see, like, one thing that I stress after this whole Michael Brown thing and all these other things is, like, the one thing they do, especially to paint a bad picture of us black men, is they change the narrative, man. The narrative has always changed.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
True
the
that.
legend is dropped off, man. So you go. We got like 7 minutes, man. You want to get to the incident that happened this weekend, man?
Yeah, I'll talk about it, man, a little bit. I'm not going to go into too much detail since we only got 7 minutes. But, you know, like Friday, you know, I'm just chilling at the gym, working out, getting my pump on and stuff, you know. And I was there for about 20, 25 minutes. I'm doing legs and shoulders. Anyway, so I noticed this guy just staring at me, right? And, you know, I get it a lot when I go to the gym. You know, people usually they recognize me from Instagram or something like that, or Facebook, or they know me through, you know, some certain gyms or bodybuilding shows or whatever, you know, or jiu-jitsu. And so I just asked the guy, I'm sitting at the leg extension machine, and I just asked him, I was just like, because he just kept staring at me. I was just like, man, do you know me or something? Do I know you? And, man, he just goes off. He's like, F you, this, that, da-da-da-da-da. It's a free country. I can look wherever I want to look. You ain't going to do nothing, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm just like, dude, calm down, man. I just asked you a simple question. I thought you knew me or something. And he's like, well, what are you going to do about it? Da-da-da. Just going off. And this guy was like, you know, I mean, he's a pretty big dude. He's juiced up, tall dude, muscular, you know. Stacking plates, you know, look like he was on some stuff or whatever, you know, but like, so I wasn't trying to start anything. I was even trying to just look, it's cool, dude, whatever, you know, you want to keep looking at me, keep looking at me. I don't care, you know? And, so I just told him, man, you know, I gave him an out. I told him, yeah, okay. He starts saying he could whip my ass and all this stuff. I was like, yeah, you can, man. I'm weak. You know, you can probably beat me up, man. All fake. He's like, whatever, you know, all of this stuff. So I went back to working out. Dude just kept staring at me. And then he just comes up. He's like, you know, F you, da 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 da. I'm like, dude, I thought we were done with this. Why are you talking to me, man? He's like, I'll whoop your ass. Da. I was like, all right. And then he starts getting closer. Yeah. And that's the one thing. You could talk as much as you want. You start getting close to me or something, then now you're starting to become threatening. So anyway, so the managers, you know, at the gym, they start coming over and stuff like that, and he's just standing there. He's gonna whoop my ass in the gym, this and that, da 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 da. And I was just like, look, I got I got a school across the street. If you want to go there, we can handle it like 2 grown men, but I'm not going to fight you in the gym. I'm not going to fight you in the parking lot. I don't got time for any of that stuff,
Yeah.
And I thought the guy would be like, man, whatever. And just, that'd be it. The guy was like, okay, let's go. I was like, all right, cool. So the guy follows me to my school. We get in there and he goes to swing. I take him down, get on top of him. I start dropping elbows. Blah, blah, blah. Just hitting him, just straight elbows and stuff. Prior to, us going there, I texted the owner of the school, let him know, I was about to fight this guy. I was about to go down. So I'm on top of this guy, just hitting him with elbows,
Yeah.
And the owner gets in, and I'm just blah, just hitting him. And the owner stops. He's like, man, it's it. It's done. It's enough. So I get off of the guy. The guy's still running his mouth. He's like, you didn't do that. You didn't do much damage. Mouth is all bloodied up and stuff. You didn't do much damage. You thought you were going to whoop me, but you didn't really do too much. I'm like, dude, I took you down, and I dropped elbows all over your face. I mean, what? I'm like, if you want some more, we can go at it again. Sign a waiver. A waiver, So he was like, I'll sign a waiver, da-da-da. So gave him a form. He signed the waiver. We went at it again. He goes to swing. I picked him up, took him down again, right? I go to cover this dude's mouth, try to make him a little tired. Where the dude bites my finger.
Wow.
What?
Yeah, he starts biting my finger and stuff. So I headbutted him a couple of times. Got on top of him, grabbed him by his throat, and I hit him a couple of times. Then, man, I was tired, man. I started realizing, I'm like, man, I'm 40-some years old, man. I'm like, casting out from beating this dude.
Yeah.
So I just started slapping him, man, till he was just like, man, I'm done, man. I'm done.
Hey, but I'm confused. What sparked the whole situation now? Because I was reading it, but I didn't understand what sparked the whole situation.
No, I was just at the gym, just working out, man. He was just staring at me, and I just asked him a simple question. I was like, man, dude, do you know me or something? Because, most of the time people will come up to me and be like, man, hey, I know you from Instagram, or, you're Black Spiderman, right? This and that. And then, it's cool. We're talking or whatever, Yeah,
exactly.
But he went off on me. I mean, he's 29 years old, I guess. But after we got done fighting, after the whole thing, I guess he didn't think nothing would happen. He would just talk his stuff or whatever, and that's it. Normally that'd be it, But, hey, you know what?
Not today.
His mouth. Yeah, he can back it up.
Hey, but I don't mean to interrupt, man. But we got like a minute and 30 seconds, man. We will continue because there's a lesson into the story.
It really is.
Yeah, next week we'll get into it. So you guys got to tune in next week. I hate to say, but we got a minute left, man. Before we go, man, do you brothers want to say anything, man? Any closing statements before we end this?
Man, I just think we had a great conversation this week. I got some good laughs, and I needed it because I had a hard week.
Oh, yeah. No, I've been going through it too, brother, so I needed this.
I feel you. And I like to say, you know what? Don't bite off more than you can chew, man. And stay off social media, man. Don't put your person.
Hey, I'm taking heed to that message.
Yo. Hey, man. No, I'm sorry, man. I hate to laugh about that, man. But, hey, we'll come back with part 2. And everybody out there in social media, out there on podcast, man, thanks for listening. Legend,
yes, peace.
You go to Black Spiderman here, Conscious Cafe, man, signing out.
All right, peace.
Don't know that you're